this is about speaking in public. Yeah? Speaking in public is different from public speaking. Speaking in public is what we as business people do all the time to colleagues, prospects, existing clients, and occasionally groups of this size. But normally, the business talking we do is to probably groups of no more than a tableful. Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Awake anyway. So that's quite important, because that's different from public speaking. Public speaking is the dais, the lectern, and 500 eager faces, or not so eager. And we do, in the Rhetorical Company, training and coaching of effective verbal communication skills for businesses and for people in business. And the reason we do that is that unless you're getting your words across with the message in them, you're actually wasting your time. So I'd like to start off with trying not to distract you by waving my ball and chain around. I'd like to start off with you to think about this thing in particular, and it is only memory affects behavior. Only memory affects behavior. Why should that be important? Any ideas? Why should that be important? Only memory affects behavior.
If you don't make an impact, you're forgotten and nothing happens.
Thank you. In a nutshell, you can't remember what somebody said. You certainly can't do what they asked you to. So that's why making a positive memory in the minds of your audience, or the mind of your audience, is so important, because without a memory there can be no change of behavior. And as business people, we are in the business, among many other things, of changing people's behavior to listen to us, remember us, and then do something about what we've said. Okay. I'm going to split this into 3 bits. First bit will be about audiences, who we talk to. Secondly, it's about why we're there. And the third thing is, in pursuit of getting memories into people's brains, be a very quick exposition of a design tool, a little design tool that we use, which is trademarked but not copyrighted. Copywritten. Copyrighted. And it should take slightly under 15 minutes. And will you feel free to ask questions as we go along, in which case it will be longer than 15 minutes, but if you can cope with that, that's fine. Yeah. And I shall be asking you questions as we go along as well. The audience, first thing. Why should this audience listen to me? Has to be the first question that you ask yourself when you're delivered into a situation like this, or when you're delivered into a situation facing a team of people you've got to pitch to, yeah? Or indeed a team of colleagues that you've got to deliver a brief to. Why should they listen? What is going to turn them on? Where are their hot buttons? How can you use those to affect their behavior, to get them to do stuff? So that's audience analysis. Who's in the audience? Where have they come from? Yeah. Why are they here? And at least 50% of the people that I spoke to before didn't know why they were here. So if you start off with that, okay, you start off with a blank slate and you're free to print on it, but you've got to be able to start off with something that's going to get them listening and keep them listening, and we'll get onto that in a bit. But the important thing about the audience is, why should they listen? Because, as Peter said, if they don't listen, they won't remember. If they don't remember, they cannot act. And we are looking as speakers in any situation, but particularly in business situations, we are looking for people to do stuff when we've finished speaking, aren't we? Otherwise, why are we doing it? What is the point of talking and wasting one's own breath, yeah, and the time of everyone listening, unless you want them to do something at the end of it? Which brings us neatly on to the second thing, which is why the speaker is there. And that's why we are there, that's why we're talking. We want behavior to change. Yeah? Otherwise it's pointless. We're wasting time. So, audience, why should they listen? Secondly, speaker, why is the speaker there? And the speaker's job is to create a memory in the mind of the audience that's going to lead to behavior that the speaker wants. Okay. Takes me on to the third one, which is the little design tool that we use, because what we're talking about here is getting into the brains of the audience, whether it's one person or 20, yeah, and creating a memory which will lead them to do something at the end. And the something could be absolutely anything. It could be go on doing what they're already doing. It could be do nothing. It could be do something. And it could be do something today, or in 6 months' time, or in a year. And we have experience of people that we have trained who have, for whom that has happened, and it's happened very nicely, because a year, 2 years, sometimes 3 or 4 years after we've trained somebody, we get a phone call which says, Andrew, is that you? Yes, yeah. Are you still doing what you did to us in 2005? Yes, yes. I think I've got a situation where the stuff you do might be helpful, can we chat? Which is referral business, and you don't get referral business unless you've planted something in somebody's brain. And it's come out when it needs to come out, when they have a need, and they remember you well enough in order to come to you with that need. So, that actually takes us to the most important part of our design tool, which is, if in all the stuff you've got to say, yeah, you can satisfactorily identify the most important thing that you want people to take away, yeah, get hold of that thing. If you only wanted people to take away one thing from what you were saying, what would it be? And that means you've got to analyze your material and dig out the most important thing for you, which is going to change people's behavior. Yeah? You've got it. When are you going to say it? Not you. No, Peter, you can get the answer. When are you going to say that thing? When, in the course of your talk? Or sitting down discussion or whatever? When are you going to say it?
Several times over.
Yeah, several times certainly, because of the power of repetition. Yeah, in driving memory. Where else? When else?
At the beginning and at the end.
At the beginning, you could say at the beginning, but you said at the end. Why? Why at the end particularly?
Because you remember mostly what people say at the beginning and at the end.
Brilliant. This stuff is about what goes on in people's brains, and there is an effect in people's brains which is called the recency effect. And the recency effect says, you remember first the thing you heard last. Which makes sense. We live in the present. We remember into the past. There is no future. Yeah? And we remember in the past the thing we heard then, and then possibly 5 minutes ago, and then half an hour ago, then yesterday, until our memory fades out into the mists of time. So the really important bit that you want them to get comes at the end. And that's where we start our design from.